When I was thinking about this episode and thinking all the things I want to say about Sinners, because it's movie of the year. It's movie of the year, guys. But this is not a spoiler free episode. I just want to say that from the jump that it's not a spoiler free episode. So if you haven't seen it, quickly turn it off, run out, and then now I'm going to start just free balling, just going at it. So I was thinking of like how I feel like Sinners is like a multi-layered cake, right? Stay with me on this one. But what I mean when I say it's a multi-layered cake is I mean, you know, when a cake, right? Not even just like a small sponge cake, but like it's one of those cakes that like obviously you have to put it like on top of each other and it builds up, builds up. So it's practically like a wedding cake, right? But what I'm saying is every single cake is something that makes Sinners up as the film that it is. Like every single what's it called? What do you call it? I don't know what they call it. Like, you know, when you're making a cake, what do they call it on what? The yeah, what do they call it? I don't even know what they call it, but you know what I mean. So like I'm saying that I feel like because when you then cut open the cake, there's so many different pieces, I mean. And then I'm saying that's what Sinners is. There's so many different touches, like places that we can actually obviously talk about, and there's so much stuff that like I feel like, oh yeah, I've been itching to go and see it for the second time, but I feel like okay, because you know what I mean. I think with your first time watch, it's like it's good, it's great, like you know, it's fresh and it's raw and it's in your head. Because obviously, yeah, I watched it just this month. I watched it in May, so obviously it's still fresh in my mind and I'm still like thinking about it. But I know that I need to go again, and going again will only help me to see the things that I missed the first time, which I now know after you know, being flooded of all like, you know, the TikTok edits, all of the what's it called? Yeah, the TikTok edits, the oh, I wouldn't let this person in, blah blah blah, all of those. Literally, I want to go because I'm going to start now. So, yeah, what I saw was the fact that what was it? The oh yeah that oh no we just cousins scene, like I saw that scene in particular, people said obviously that was foreshadowing like of how Stack is on the outside of where like he's on the side of where the sun is, and then Smoke is on the other side, which is where the warehouse is, and then you just kind of their backgrounds, and then that's kind of a foreshadowing of that Stack is always going to be slave to the sun, and then Smoke was obviously going to be back at the warehouse because obviously they start off at the warehouse and they end up back at the warehouse. Do you know what I mean? They end up back at the warehouse again, and obviously that's where Smoke like reaches his end. And then the other thing also was what was it? Was that Sammy wore the smaller Baker cap for Stack. I mean, for Smoke, sorry, when he passed. You know, this is what happens. I feel like, you know, when you're watching a film and it has twins in it, it's like, I know the difference. I know the difference. But if you hear me model them up, like, please don't come for me. It's really difficult, I feel like to talk to not get twins modeled up. I know that like I think me and my family were talking about twins as a concept, right? Talking about like twins and how they do it in film or in films and TV programs. And then I remember we were talking about Liv and Maddie, and it was like you did know that with Liv and Maddie that was Dove Cameron, like both times. It was obvious. People who didn't, that was crazy. And of course that's what I'm saying about twins. I'm saying about like identical twins, it's like, you know, one of them are not the same, because I guess it's like how people have been saying to Michael in interviews, it's like he knew that he was playing two different characters, so he had to talk a separate way and he had to walk a separate way. But then obviously it's like, I feel like that would be so difficult. Like, I would never want to like do that. It's like break yourself. But like you're breaking yourself into two, but then also because you're being two different people at once. I'm like, that is crazy. And that was why I also thought about the twins thing. I thought, like, I knew from the very beginning that one of them wouldn't make it. Like, I just knew that. But then I even thought to myself, yeah, you know that because that's how it works sometimes with twins. But then I also thought like maybe it didn't matter because I feel like equally Michael probably had to do most of the scenes he had to do. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like he probably still had to do an equal amount of scenes either way, even if Stack didn't die. Like, that's what I mean. It makes no difference. But I still thought about it in the way that when people are playing twins, it's like it's hard for them to really like play both at the exact same time. Like, you have to make sure that, like, yes, they can be in shots together, but then you also want to make sure you're doing scenes with them separately, because then it's obviously just like, yes, it's less camera work, because obviously if you're doing them together, then it's like, yeah, you have to also do the duplicate thing on the camera, which is obviously what I've learned. I feel like learning about how they do twins in cinema has been really great. Like, aside from everything about Sinners, learning about that has been great, because it's just like, it's crazy, because I feel like a lot of the time when we see twins in cinema, we do believe that they are twins, even though it's like, no, like we're like, they look like the actor who's playing them, so it's almost like, no, we know that. It's like how, what was it? It's always the funniest thing that I remember of when the twins from Harry Potter, they're in that interview and the lady asks them, oh, like, so are you guys actually twins? And they're like, no, we met on set. And I was like, it's really funny because it's like, obviously they are real life twins, but it's like, you know, it makes you wonder. They could have done that for Harry Potter as well, but it's like, obviously it was easier to find. It was definitely easier to find two people who are actually twins. Like, yeah, so who are actually twins and who, yeah, I guess you don't need to do the extra camera work for. Even though I feel like probably doing the extra camera work, I don't know, maybe if it, like, it makes it more fun probably, because I feel like it's obviously more of a challenge. It's more challenging, basically, than to just, you know, just to book like two twins, when it's like, now you're putting in the groundwork of actually, like, you know, actually doing it. And then I saw the clips, like, of people interviewing Michael and saying to him, like, you were really great of playing two twins. And he's like, oh, like, thank you. And you're like, wow, like, take it, like, take your flowers, take the praise, you did well, and you ate that crazy. Of course, I feel like when I was thinking about this episode as well, I was like, this obviously feels like a Ryan Coogler film. Anyways, I don't know of his work all that great, but when I look back at his stuff, like as in stuff that he's done, which was obviously like I think it was Fruitvale, and Creed, and Black Panther. When you look at his stuff, it's like Sinners just feels like it's his work. I've said this a lot. I've always said this. I say it a lot. Like, I'm like, when I think about directors, and I'm like, you can tell when a work has had a director's touch on it. Like, it just feels obvious. You're like, okay, yeah, that's Ryan Coogler. And you're like, oh my gosh, yes, that's Greta Gerwig. Or even better yet, you're like, oh, that's Sofia Coppola, because it's like they like to do different, like, they like to sometimes zoom in on different themes. Or like, that's why I started my director series as well, is because I just wanted to dive into the minds of like how directors work. Like, it's also, remember, I think Luca Guadagnino was obviously saying how his is like, it's mainly Desire. Most of the characters are always somewhere from Desire, right? And it feels like with Ryan Coogler, his work is mainly like, it feels like it's mainly about like, yeah, like history and community. And then the fact that this film Sinners is like, it's a film that's like a film for everybody. Like, it doesn't necessarily, like, of course it's for black people, like for black people, done by black people, like, do you know what I mean? It's for them, right? But it's also got everything for everyone, which is what I love. Like, I think that's what people are saying about this film. They like the fact that this film has come out and it's been a thing where, like, you know, it's had so much acclaim and people are talking about it for different reasons. You know, the fact that, you know, they have all the Irish music, and then they have, you know, then they have the blues, of course, and then they have all sorts of other stuff. But and especially, of course, with Miles Catton's Seeing If I Lie to You, and that whole, you know, history untangling, doesn't just every single thing. And I think people were talking about that scene in particular. They were saying there's something, I mean, yeah, there's something in that scene, because it's like the first time you see it, you want to keep repeatedly seeing it. I think somebody said it was to do with dopamine, like, probably, but it's just to do with the fact that, like, when you watch that scene, like, I think something happens. Like, I don't know what it is, but something does happen. Something takes place. And I think it's just a thing where, like, us wanting to see it again and again is actually normal. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, don't let anybody say to you that you are addicted to this film. Like, I don't think that it's like, it's not our fault. Like, it's literally like how Ryan made the film. And then if you also think about the layers of just, you know, just music, to do with the fact that how Remick was drawn to Sammy's music, if you think about it in that aspect, then that's probably why us as the audience, like, it was literally intended, you know, it was intended to be that way, because Remick was drawn to Sammy's voice and we're drawn to that scene. Like, I don't ever think I could get sick of that scene. Like, I'm always like, I'm one of these people, yeah, who I do get, like, sick of things after a while. But this scene from Sinners, I feel like I could never get sick of it. And I would watch it over and over and over again. And it would be crazy. I think if someone hasn't, someone should obviously should put the Sinners thing and just put it on loop. Like, you see those YouTube videos a lot anyways. You know, those ones where it's like, yeah, they have like a music and it's just on loop, and it's like, and then the video is like an hour long. They should do that for the Sinner scene, because, like, it would be like, I would actually sit there for a whole hour and I would watch that scene over and over again. And oh my gosh, when I mentioned about the edits are eating. They're eating so bad. You know what would have been great? What would have been great, now that I think about it, is if I had done my episode on the day that I watched it, because that would have been mind blowing. I feel like on the day that I watched it, though, it was a thing where it's like, I don't know, maybe with this film, it does need to set in for a little bit. It needs to set in for a little while, because obviously I do feel like I had so many thoughts, and I left the cinema what's it called? Like, yeah, when you want a film to change you, I left it changed. Do you get it? And I was like, wow. I was just like, wow. And I think I wouldn't have been able to, like, yeah. It's funny. I'm like, I wouldn't have been able to form sentences, coherent thoughts. I was just like, wow. Like, I was stunned. I was literally stunned. And I don't know. That's really why I'm like to myself, I couldn't have done it on the day. But I was thinking about that film, yeah, literally the whole entire time after I saw it. Like, it was literally a thing like that. And then I guess, yeah, you see it and it's still in your thoughts. It's still lingering. Like, obviously I can check the date that I watched it. I feel like, obviously I probably know the date off by heart practically. I feel like it was the 3rd of May. I'm checking my Letterboxd now so that I'm not, like, wrong. You know, I'm like, I don't want to be wrong. I don't think I am, though, but I would still like to see. I do feel like it was the 3rd of May though. Yeah, it was actually the 3rd of May. And the funny thing is that on the 3rd of May, I obviously watched Sinners at the cinemas, and then I watched Conclave on that same exact day. And that was crazy because I find it so hard to watch 2 films in a day. But then Conclave was great as well. Sidebar, like, Conclave was amazing as well. But it was just crazy that I was able to have watched, like, 2 films. And then I felt really like a real cinephile because I was like, I don't ever really do that, you know? I find it really, really difficult. The only way you can ever actually really do that, I guess, is what I realized is, yeah, you just have to split it. Well, like, I was watching Conclave in the evening, so it was like, and I watched Sinners earlier in the day. Or I watched Sinners, actually. Funny thing is, I watched Sinners really, really early in the day. I watched it like at 11 something, or 11 o'clock. And that's why nobody was in there. And oh my gosh, it was so lovely. Because literally I've been talking about the fact that, or I'm supposed to be, like, people who know the fact that, like, you know, I write and everything. People will know that I said I was going to write an article about cinema etiquette, and I haven't gotten around to it yet because I find it so hard to, like, I don't know, like, I'm not even doing much writing as I was before now. I mean, of course, I'm usually doing writing on, like, my watches, and, like, I'm also writing this story, so it's like, that's the only really writing that I'm practically doing. But it's like, I couldn't explain about the cinema etiquette in a good way, but I obviously was supposed to. And I was really happy though that, like, I didn't, you know, that nothing was bad for Sinners that time, because I guess it's like, maybe that is the key of watching films very early in the morning, even though I don't feel like, you know, I don't feel like that's the way it should be technically, because I know that it's like, oh yeah, if you do want to miss all those things, all kind of disruptions anyways, that the best thing is to go in the morning when people are like, you know, I don't know, in work, or, you know, this type of thing where it's like, there's nobody in here, like, do you know what I mean? Because that's the kind of thing, like, literally it was me and like 4 other people, but apart from that, the cinema was pretty empty. Like, it was actually insane. But then I wondered if, you know, I thought to myself, maybe also, is Sinners a film that does need to be watched in a you know, in a like really big cinema, like, when every seat is full anyways, because it's probably like, you know, Sinners is great, and like, I think that's, you know, it deserves that, like, that kind of viewing anyways. It deserves that kind of viewing for there to be a bunch of people in there, and like, you know, and the fact that, like, when it ends, like, everyone's in uproar, like, do you know what I mean? It's that kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? It's giving like, okay, it's giving like Sinners should be watched, like, you know, yeah, like it's a Marvel film. The fact where, like, nobody speaks. I mean, apart from, like, you know, because when you're watching Marvel, it's like there'll be people in there who will do, like, I don't know, what do they do? They're like, Uncle Spider-Man, you know, those kind of, like, dudes in the cinema. And then, so I guess, yeah, you also, like, no, we don't want Sinners to be enjoyed that way. But then I'm also saying that, like, you know, Sinners also does have to be enjoyed in that way. And because, I guess also because of the post-credits, we know that, you know, Marvel and, like, those films, they have that in common. It's like, don't leave until the lights go on. And also, but then not even when the lights go on, don't even leave, like, yeah, after. The thing is, I haven't been doing that for a while anyways. Like, as in, I have never really been leaving the cinema anyways. Like, it's been a while. It feels weird, but it's like, I don't really leave anymore. Like, this is the thing, I don't leave it very quickly. Usually it's a thing where I don't leave quickly because I'm probably writing my letterbox review. But if not, because the thing sometimes is just weird in the cinema, obviously the people who need to clean up, they'll come in and it'll make you feel like, okay, like, you do need to get out. But then it's like, if they're not in there, then it's like, just sit down and, like, don't move, and, like, even get comfortable, and, like, yeah, just get comfortable, don't move, like, stay there. Yeah, stay there, be in there, just, yeah. Like, okay, I feel like aside from the feel like aside from me talking about the twins, I'm doing a lot of commentary. But please, please, it's literally supposed to be that. That's what I feel like. Podcasts literally are supposed to be commentary. But of course, I do want to touch on, like, I do want to touch on moments. Of course, I already mentioned about what was it? Yeah, the fact of where they put Smoke and Stack, and how that was obviously foreshadowing. And then also another thing that I thought was great, which was probably also a bit of foreshadowing again, which was the fact that when Sammy is singing When I Lie to You, and then it's like, and then it does the In Your Arms, and he goes and he points up to the sky, and then the ceiling is on fire. And I think that's obviously also another good way of foreshadowing, because it's like, it's the calm before the storm, and then obviously the ceiling was on fire, and then it was just, I guess, the fire can obviously hint at like hell, and it can hit and all that kind of stuff, like flames and being burned, basically. Like all of that kind of stuff, it can touch on those things, and that's kind of what I feel like. And then I guess after his song is when everything in the film switches. Like, what's so crazy to me is that coming into Sinners, I really don't think I even really watched the trailer either. Yeah, I probably didn't. The thing is that like when I came into it, I was like, I really thought it was going to be a thing where like we were going to jump straight in and they would be vampires immediately. But then I knew to myself, I don't know. I was like, that's not a good way to tell a story, for one thing. And I know that there's marks of, great stories, and stories have to be told in the good ways. You know what I mean? Like they need, what's it called? Yeah, they need things like foreshadowing, like how I said. They need, what's it called? They need background info. They need location, and all these kinds of things. They literally need those kinds of things, literally. The funny thing is, the only time I watched the trailer, was afterwards. Which doesn't make any sense, because you guys are like, why would you watch the trailer afterwards? But the thing, I was showing it to my mum, but then it's like, I'd already seen it, but I didn't watch the trailer beforehand. I had no idea, what to expect. It's kind of a thing where I guess I saw those kinds of, what do you call it? I saw those kinds of like scene previews things. I saw those, and then I guess also what obviously instructed me or whispered in my ear, but like kind of like the thing that persuaded me to go was obviously just all of the talk. Like, do you know what I mean? All of the talk, and I guess like literally all of the talk on a film is necessary, is what's needed, and like it's the thing that like pushes people to go. And I know that sometimes, I guess, sometimes you never know with that one, like, of people talking about a film, but I feel like 9 times out of 10, if people are talking about a film, like, a lot, and, like, if they're talking about a film a lot, and it's, like, there's a recurring theme, then that probably means that the film is good, basically. Yeah, so it's weird. I just mean what I was saying about the fact that I had no idea what the film was going to be, and I also thought they were going to be vampires right away. At first it felt like to me, it was like I was thinking, oh yeah, this feels like a slow burn, but then I was also like, no, it doesn't. But I guess it's kind of and I guess. No, the way they did start it did kind of throw you into it anyways. So it wasn't that much of a slow burn, to be fair, because obviously they did throw you in there pretty early. Because obviously the film starts out anyways with, what's it called? Yeah, they do that kind of, which is, I think, is always a good way to tell a story anyway. It's like what's it called? Oh, the morning after. So, yeah. The morning after the night before. So yeah, I think that's always a good place to start when when starting off a film. And I also feel like, I guess, with the subject matter that Sinners is, like a horror, I think, of course, you kind of want to walk into this kind of film and be like, yeah, how is it that we got here? Do you know what I mean? Sometimes I'm like, of course, I think to myself, maybe I am, I don't know, impatient. Like, just to say that, oh, I want to be like, yeah, take me to the action right away. But I think that's really like, I'm saying this because this is a me thing. Like, this is not even to say anything about Ryan Coogler's film. Like, I'm saying this is literally a me problem. The fact that it's like, oh, I don't know, maybe I don't like surprises or any of those kind of things. You know what I mean? The element of surprise, I think I always want to know everything, basically. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, and it's like, you guys be like, boo, like, what do you mean you can't enjoy a film that way? But it's like, I'm sorry, I can't. It felt weird. I think for me, I was just like, yeah, I was like, right, take me to where everything happens. And you know what I mean? I'm actually looking at the cover right now. Sorry. I'm looking at the cover right now and I'm like, wow, like a lot of just a lot of the like the cover, like what's made up on the cover is like everything that happens in the film, basically. You see, you have everybody there. You've got Grace with the fire. You've got the sunrise. Last time I seen the sun. And then you also have the bottom bit, which is the juke joint. And yeah, but that's crazy. But of course, obviously, yeah, that's what I was saying. I do think that no, because background information in a film is always needed. We need to know who the characters are. We need to know what they're about. We need to know we need to know what they're doing here. We need to know what their story is. Do you know what I mean? And obviously, we needed to know Sammy's thing and how he's in love with the blues. And, you know, obviously his dad believes that the blues is some kind of devil worshipping music. Even though, you know what's funny to me, when I really thought of the whole devil worshipping aspect, I always thought that they say that, like, I don't really know if they really would say that it was blues. I always thought the devil worshipping music was like, people would like to say that it's like, what's it called? They usually say it's like hip hop and R&B, right? Like, obviously, because R&B is made up of rhythm and blues, right? That's what R&B signifies anyways. Like, that's its meaning. But like, and that's kind of obviously what I thought. Like, you know, when I think of blues, I don't necessarily think that it feels like it's the devil's music. Like, it's like, I feel like the blues is very like raw. Like, sometimes I think the blues, right, a lot of the genres that were even in this film, like blues, folk and country, they're all quite like, what's it called, vulnerable pieces of music, right? Especially how Sammy's song "I Lie to You" is literally like, it's supposed to be like, you can look at it as a love letter to his father, basically. It's him him telling his father that, you know, he does love the blues. He does in fact love the blues, and it's like he's never going to be this I don't know. Like, obviously he's preacher boy, right? But he's never going to be this like pastor kid and then take over from his father. We don't know. That's what you know, the church will like to do, kind of thing. It'll be like, oh, my son will be the new pastor, and like, I guess isn't it in the early bit? Oh, he asked Sammy to read a reading, but it's like he's not really into that world. Yeah, he's not really in that world, and that he is in love with the blues. But literally, that's what I was thinking. I never really thought of the blues really being the type of music that is for the devil and evil. But then also, I guess, because, you know, his song, like, I Lied to You, I guess, it's like, it's somebody take me in your arms tonight. But then, and then I don't really feel like, I'm like myself now, I'm dissecting the song. It's not like, I think to myself, because the main theme that they want to touch on anyway is lust, of course. And that's why there's a lot of that in this film. Do you know what I mean? A lot of lust for scenes, right? Because yeah, somebody taking your arms, obviously you could feel like hints to, yeah, somebody holding you, whatever. I don't know. And if maybe it's like intimate and like the way of seeking sex and all of those different things. And that's why they're trying to say that blues is the devil music. I like how on Letterboxd it just says, dance with the devil, trying to leave their troubled life behind. Twin brothers return to their hometown to start again, only to discover that an even greater evil is waiting to welcome them back. Another thing, though, I mean, before before I move on to other areas, is that I really liked Dr. Umar's breakdown. Right, I was like, wow, like, not to say like, oh my gosh, like Dr. Umar, but I was like, I don't really feel like, because obviously Dr. Umar was like, as we know, he's somewhat like, it feels to say like he's a fraud of some sorts. He like, but it's interesting that I felt like when he was talking about sinners, I actually agreed with him. It's like how sometimes when you hear Piers Morgan speak, for instance, and you're like, oh my gosh, like, hold on a moment. Piers is asking all the right questions. And we're like, oh, that's a bit weird. So it felt like that with like with Dr. Umar as well. He was touching on all these areas of how people were focusing on the fact that they felt like the film was demonic, but he was talking about all this other stuff. Do you know what I mean? Which made the film what it is. And he obviously just wanted to push forward that it's not a demonic film. And then I think his main point was that, yes, if you are a Christian, you should watch Sinners. That was what the main video was saying. He said Christians should watch Sinners, because obviously it's a film that, you know, Sinners feels like it's a landmark. It's historic. It's a thing that people will look back on in years to come. Like, it's no lie, but people will recount it, and that's the main thing. And it's interesting. I mean, I know that when I was watching it, I'm like, I'm not really religious. Like, I'm practically agnostic. So it was a thing where it was like, I didn't get any of the demonic I didn't get any of the demonic themes. And maybe this is the thing, like, I'm like to myself, maybe if I was more religious, maybe it would have had an effect on me. But then I also just don't believe that it would. Like, I also don't believe that it would, right? Because, yeah, and like, I don't know. I just think maybe it's the whole thing that, like, I guess people are saying this film was what? Yes, about the devil and, like, hell and, like, vampires, and yeah, maybe that's what it is. But I guess it was a big thing. Like, people obviously were discussing it a lot on TikTok, a lot of the discourse, and they were saying that, like, what if would push people to watch a film that obviously is called Sinners, which equals, so definition is sinning. And yeah, but this is what I mean. Like, I guess it's like, it was a thing people were saying, if you knew that it was about sinning, why would you watch a film that is titled Sinners? And, you know, people are going to sin in said film. But it is a thing that, like, Dr. Umar was also saying about how, but yeah, we all literally, what's it called? We all indulge in sin. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, this is the thing. Like, we all do. Like, the fact of, I think Dr. Umar was saying about how, yeah, how the juke joint is just supposed to be the juke joint is just supposed to be a kind of mirror and a reflection on what it's like when we all indulge in nightlife with drugs, drugs, drink, and sex, right? So all of those three. The thing is that, like, and then I guess it's the thing that evil attracts evil, basically, anyways. So they were already doing stuff that was going to have that come to their doorstep. And that's basically, I feel like, obviously, I just said, that is what I just said. That's basically the message. Like, if you if you attract evil, evil will come your way. It's literally what's going to happen. And that's literally obvious. That's just how it's gonna be. Like, and I just thought it was really interesting because it's like, yeah, we all do sin. And it's like, yeah, that's the thing. Like, I always find that weird because with religion, not even to like, not even to even like bash anyone, but like, I always think that like people will say that like they're self-righteous, but then it's like we're all doing things that we should not be doing. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm like, why can't we all just be humans, right? Like, literally all of what humanity is about, basically. So that's crazy. I guess also the last thing was something I did not expect. Like, I did not expect for it to be so, yeah, to be so freaked out. Like, do you know what I mean? The way that it was like, there was so much happening. Even, I guess, remember the first kind of freaky scene is like, what? It's Smoke and Annie, right? But that took me, yeah, that took me for a surprise. I was like, wow. We're just getting it on. But then I know that, like, this is what I mean. And that's myself. I know that they had to add that because it definitely makes sense. Like, adding the fact of like lust, and like how lust is one of the evils. And we know that lust is one of the evils because being lustful or overindulging in sex causes sex addictions, basically, and also perversions, of course, because of course I meant when there's an effect of where you indulge in sex, it has an effect on how, the fact of how you view women. You guys know how it goes. Literally, you guys know how it goes. It's like, I guess, exactly. The thing is that all evils have consequences, basically. And that, I guess, is what Sammy's dad was trying to push forward to him anyways. Like, you playing the blues will bite you. And yeah, it bit him, and it bit him hard. But yeah, it was the main thing that if you continue to play blues, you will dance with the devil. Right. Of course, the biggest thing of all was in knowing that either way they were going to be doomed was crazy. Um, and again, that's what I mentioned again with storytelling. That is a great way to tell a story. We said actually plot twists. It doesn't actually matter. It's like, we said even if you are playing blues and you are doing, all these stuff you shouldn't be doing. You weren't going to make it till tomorrow anyway. You know? What was really interesting to me though was that Sammy was the only survivor. That was a thing that was like, wow. I mean, of course, because what's interesting obviously about horrors, it feels like horrors always only do have one survivor a lot of the time anyways, and that was very interesting to me. I was like, or then I guess no. Yes, no, Sammy was the only survivor. I just mean because technically he also wasn't, because you obviously had Smoke, and obviously Smoke took out the clan, but it was like, of course, he took out the clan and then he died. So he did survive until the next day, but he did not survive how we could say Sammy survived, and how Sammy was able to like move on, so to speak. I mean, he was able to move on somewhat, and he was able to have his career in making blues. And then, he obviously meets up with Mary and Stack again, because obviously they're vampires. But then they were obviously the only ones who survived also. And obvious course they only survived was because, what was it? It was because Smoke let Stack go. And I guess everyone was talking about that. Everyone was talking about the fact that, yeah, like they were saying Smoke obviously like should have joined his brother, but then of course if he did, he wouldn't have been able to join Annie and his, is it his son? I think the baby was a boy, but like, yeah, he wouldn't have been able to join them in the afterlife, because obviously he would have been going to hell basically anyways. Sorry, take that back, I mean his daughter. Right, but like, so it's very interesting. But yes, it was like, of course he couldn't he it was interesting because remember when Stack was trying to persuade Smoke from the outside, and he was like, oh, I can't do this without you. And then he was like, what was he saying? He was like, no vision. He was like, it was a thing where you could see that Smoke wanted to go. Like, there was something in it that he wanted to go, but then he held back. Well, Annie called him back anyways. And Annie's a real one. She's a real one. And yeah, she's literally a real one, because she obviously, do you know what I mean? She made everybody turn on their survival instincts. She said, like, you all need to calm down and let's get real, because these vampires are coming in here. They're going to take all of us, whether you like it or not. So what we're going to do is we're going to put on our mind goggles and we're going to get ready. Do you know what I mean? Like, actually gear up. lock in. Like, that's what I mean. And you need somebody like that. And I guess the only reason why Annie was able to take on that role was because she was obviously she was into, what was it called? Witchcraft. And then it was crazy when Smoke turned to her and he was like, oh, bring my brother back, and we said no. If we do that, it don't matter, he won't be the same. Because this is the thing with like witchcraft in general, and we've all seen that and how they've told witchcraft to us in the years anyways. Even if you bring people back to life, they're really not the same. And also bringing them back doesn't help, it just prolongs the fact that they are going to die, because they've already passed over to the other side one time already. So then, like, their soul has to go back, basically. It's like how, because I've been talking about my Vampire Diaries rewatch so many times, and I mentioned it again, but that, like, where I'm at even right now in Vampire Diaries is when Jeremy dies and Bonnie brings him back, right? And then Jeremy's seeing loads of ghosts, right? He's seeing loads of ghosts. He's seeing, what was her name again? He's seeing Anna and he's seeing Vicky. And it's the thing where, like, you know, he's seeing these people because he's half and half, isn't he? He's basically living, he's living on both sides. Do you know what I mean? Because he was not supposed to come back. And that's the whole thing. We're like, you're not supposed to come back to life. You're actually just supposed to die. And that's literally what's supposed to happen, right? And it's like, and then it's the thing that, like, it makes me feel like when that happened to Jeremy, that, like, that's why he was never able to, like, he was never going to survive. That's my whole thing. Because, yeah, he was never going to survive. Because he had already died once already. So it was a thing where his contract, if we say that, we use that term, his contract was already up, basically. And so bringing him back was a mistake, right? And then that's the same thing. It would have been a mistake for Annie to try to bring back Stack, because he wouldn't have been the same. And I guess it's the same thing of when Stack was behind the door and he's like, yeah, of course it's me. It's like, nigga, it's Jim Crow. And we're like, yeah, like that's not him. We said that's not your brother. Kill him. Like literally kill him. But yeah, but I understood yeah, I understood Smoke's whole thing of not wanting to kill his brother. Like that's his brother and they did everything together. And I guess it's like, you know, he wasn't going to join him in that eternal torture, but you know, he didn't want to kill him. So, do you know what I mean? He didn't want to kill him. He didn't want that. You see, I saw somebody's review say on Letterboxd, I will write more about this once my thoughts are coherent. I said, yeah, what? Me. And nothing more gorgeous than a Letterboxd review that is written like an essay. This is what real cinema is. This is what real cinema is. Yeah. Because, you know, for me, yeah, I don't know. I think to myself, right, not even to be a Letterboxd hater or anything. It's just like the one-liners on Letterboxd are not for me. Pour your heart out in the review. Tell me everything. I need to know every single thought that you had about that film that you watched. And I need to know why. Yeah, exactly. I need you to expand on every single point. And I need you to write me, right, exactly. I need you to write me in 1,000-word essay. And, I need to dump by tonight. But no, I need it to be great. Like, I need it lengthy. Oh, this person. And yeah, that's what I love. I love it. I kept scrolling, and it was heavy. I kept scrolling. I was like, yes. Oh, but that's what I mean. And I'm saying, like, that's what a good film will do to you. A good film will have you writing a lengthy review, and you don't even care. You don't even care that it's that long. You said, yeah, I'm about to write about this. Crazy. Okay. I'm also like, because you know when you do, sometimes I do episodes, I'm like, what places do I want to touch on? But I'm probably going to talk about the characters a little bit. And to be honest, when I think about it also, like, it's just, I mean, yeah, this whole time film, I'm just like, there's just so many different things that you can talk about. Like, probably even the snake. The snake that they found in the back of the van, right? That was even a foreshadowing as well. Because snakes are obviously, they are significant. And they have a deeper meaning, basically. Snakes are always like, because snakes are supposed to be poisonous, all this type of stuff. And I think, like, the snake in the van was supposed to be some kind of, yes, a bad omen, right? Because mostly in most horrors, what you do see is a bad omen or something that happens, or no, something that happens before the main thing happens. Like, you know what I mean? You see, like, I don't know, a deer dead in the road, and that's where it's like, yeah, this again is great foreshadowing. I love foreshadowing so much. I think, like, because you know, it's like you learn about foreshadowing in English, and it's like, and all these different thingy, like, in these ways of telling stories, and foreshadowing probably is my favorite. It's my favorite like literary like my favorite literary device. Like, that's the name. But like, it's my favorite literary device because it's like foreshadowing is so good, because it's like, obviously you're like, oh my gosh, this was foreshadowing, and it's like, wow, they were telling me something that I didn't realize, but I should have seen it. Do you know what I mean? I should have seen it. And I think also I should have seen that, yes, the first time watching, I should have seen that then too. Like, as in being like, oh my gosh, yes, why is there just a snake in the back of their why is there a snake in the back of their van? But it's like, a snake is there because bad things are on its way. Bad things are on its way. And I think, I forgot how I was saying this to you, but I love calm before the storm anyways. I love a good calm before the storm, because I said everyone's fine, everyone's chill, everyone is getting down, right? Everyone's listening to Sammy's When I Lied to You, and they're all cutting a rug, and everyone's grooving, and then bam! Do you know what I mean? And then bam. And then the funny thing is that, crazy, remember when Remick is first introduced to us, right? Plus, great introduction, by the way. we said Ryan Coogler, great introduction. Like, he comes down from the sky. Okay, maybe we said you guys didn't see that, but he did. Like, I meant like the people who then he comes to the door and he's like, you let me in, and then he gets on his knees and we said, oh, okay. You know what's really fun? Also, what's really funny about Sinners is that obviously we're all like, what's it called? We're rooting for the bad people, and we said Remick. We said Bo Chow. We said Smoke, Stack, Perlene, Annie. We're actually, I think this film, right, is even like, it's signifying all of our like, it's showing all of our, what's the word? Our droughts. Like, that's the word I'm looking for. It's showing our droughts, because everybody is like literally super freaked out like by the cast, and I'm like, wow, you guys are all like, you're all horn dogs, me included, but you are. I said, me too, but that's crazy. I'm like, why are we rooting for Remick, the guy who came into the juke joint and he killed he killed practically everybody. Like, he killed literally everyone. So what are we doing? Rooting. Yeah, we're on the side of the bad guys, and everyone's all like, yeah, I would have gone out for this reason or that reason. I said I would have stayed my ass inside. But then it's funny. No, those videos are funny. Like, literally, they're what's it? What do they call it? Comedy relief. Yes, they're that. But for real, honest talk, serious talk, I would not be going out there. Literally. Of course, I would think I did a TikTok where I said, oh yeah, when they did Rocky Road to Dublin, I would have said, let me out there. I would have been running out there. You know, because when a good song plays and when you're in the club and you're like, oh, you're like, my song's on, I got to go now. You know, you're mid conversation with somebody and you're like, oh, hold on. You're like, hold on, stay there, I've got to go now. But literally, it's like that, because Rocky Road to Dublin was hard. And I think you always need, like, when Rocky Road to Dublin played, I was like, you need a good, like, villain song. I think that's probably what they probably took that from. That you need a good villain song. Like, it's like, what's one that I think of, which is always, Anastasia, right? Sorry, it's the only one I could think of right now. But remember, so when he sings about when he sings in the dead of the night, still be on, and we're like, yeah, we're like, we're cutting up, because literally you need a villain song that's like, wow, they're actually not all bad. They can actually cut a rug. They're actually real. They're actually really, really good, man. And oh my gosh, it was interesting that, of course, in Ryan Coogler's interviews, he was talking about how he was really inspired by Death from Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, and I thought that was really great. And Death's introduction has been one of the best introductions, like, yeah, ever. It's like, his thinking one reminds me of, like, I don't know. Yeah, that one I just did a second ago, that sounded like the Hunger Games theme, but it reminds me of that though, as well. And then also, what else does it? Oh, it also reminds me of Ghost from Fallout as well. Ghost has a great thingy bob as well, but this is what I'm saying we all need to be quaking in our boots for a villain. Do you know what I mean? Like, we all need to have that feeling. It's not even a thing like that. We actually just need to have it. We literally need to have it. So many things that I could literally touch on that I probably won't. You drop them in the comments though, actually. Anyways, you guys drop them in there, because honestly, this film, it's like there's so much you could unpack, but who knows if you can unpack it all. Is that this film is right. It's I said it's all of my thoughts, and it's embedded in me, almost like Sammy's scratch on his face. He has to live with that forever. Like, he has to live with that forever, and that's how much this film has changed me. Like, it's an invisible mark. You guys can't see it, but it's there though. It's there. No, I feel like the best place for me to probably even wrap up even now, but I might not wrap up because if I think of something else, I'm coming right back. But I also want to say about the soundtrack, of course. The soundtrack is great. Um Lud Ludwig, right? Yes, Ludwig. I was saying to people I didn't know Ludwig before. I didn't know him at all. But he's great. Like, he's literally great. Like, and I just mean there's so many good songs on this soundtrack. My favorites anyways are Rocky Road, When I Lied to You, Will You Go Lassie Go, what else? There's another one. And of course, my number one favorite, Pale Pale Moon. Right? Pale Pale Moon. And I feel like, remember, Pearline could have only sang that song after being absolutely freaked out. She was, yeah, she had her moment. She needed it. Like, do you know what I mean? She needed it. And then what she could do was perform that great song, and out here crawling on the stage like an animal had possessed her. And I was like, yeah. I was like, we actually get it. We get it, Pearline, and we see you. Like, flipping, I was like, damn, we actually get you. But right, Ludwig, okay, back to Ludwig, is that he was best known for his Oscar-winning scores to Black Panther and Oppenheimer. So, wow, this is what I mean. The guy's got trophies. I didn't know him. And I was like, I'm sorry, Ludwig, I didn't know you're real. I didn't know you're... What's the word? What do they say? I didn't know your thingy, but I didn't know how cool you were. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's crazy. But he did really well on Sinners. And obviously, I mean, Black Panther and Oppenheimer are both great films as well, like, aside from Sinners. So it's like, of course, they're really good. And he's Coogler's frequent collaborator. I think that's always good. I think, you know, when a director... yes, has a composer in their back pocket. You know what I mean? Kind of thing. Like, you know, when it's like how we all say how directors have, what do they have? They have like actor duos, but people who they always call up. So that's like Michael B. Jordan for Ryan Coogler, yeah? But I mean how Ryan Coogler's composer is practically Ludwig, like, every time. And then you could obviously say that Hayao Miyazaki's is Joe Hisashi. His is amazing every time, and I think that's really important. I think you do need that in cinema. I think a director and its composer, like, they need to be like this. Fingers crossed. They need to be locked in. And of course, oh, it's crazy. You know what Sinners makes me think? And I think, yes, I might end it here. Like, what Sinners makes me think is, what will be Ryan Coogler's next big great? What will be his next great film? I know to myself, like, I guess with a film like Sinners, you're like, he can probably just sit on... he can rake in the glory for Sinners for a little while. And then he can, you know... yes, he can then work on something new, because of course it's like with a film that's come out the water like Sinners, it's not like he needs to, you know, go back into creating another film already, you know. He can relax a bit, right? But of course, we're just like, what else has he got up his sleeve? I was gonna say on his belt, but then I was like, that's not the right phrase. But yeah, up his sleeve. Like, what's the next big great that we're going to get from him? Do you know what I mean? It feels like there's so much more. Like, yeah, there's so much more he can do. I think people were talking about, like, they thought they wanted him to do, like, what was it, a Sinners multiverse, which would, of course, that would be great. But I mean, I feel like it's a thing where I don't think he probably will. Like, people, when they do films like this and they do them great, it's like they kind of just want to move on to their next project. And not to say it will be anything like this one. It will be as equally great, but it just won't be the same story. I think if he wants to do something like, I don't know, what would I want to see from him as a viewer? I think what he could do is like, I don't know. I think people were saying, what did they say? About like black cowboys. People were talking about that he should make a cowboys film, which I agree, but I also, okay, because that's somebody else's idea, but I kind of want my own one. I feel like from Ryan, I think what would be great would be, there's just so much. There's just so much. I'm just like, maybe he could do something like, I mean, of course, what he does need to do, which we don't know if he will, but he definitely needs to come out with a documentary of Sinners, of course. Not like, you know what I mean, but I just mean he needs to do like those kinds of like, I think, like, okay, like, remember, I think Sofia Coppola did The Making of Priscilla, and I think he obviously needs to do a thing like that. He needs to do like need to do a documentary or insight thing into Sinners, and we want like the behind the scenes, we want like we want the behind the scenes, we want interviews, we want like little tidbits, we want all of these things. So yeah, we literally want all of those things, and I think that's what we need, basically. Of course, you can see some from time to time. Like, I think I've seen a few as of late anyways of stuff from the set, but like, it's like we need more though, you know? We really need to be like, right, we need to be on that set. Not like, you know what I mean? But we just need to be there. Like, not just in a few moments, but like a long documentary that, you know, like will take us through the entire film. And how he was able to deliver some of the shots, how he wanted to tell the story, all those ins and outs, literally all those ins and outs. I really love talking about Sinners right now. Honestly, it was really great. And if you haven't seen it, you should. But except you wouldn't be listening to this because this had spoilers all the way through, so you wouldn't be listening to this. But it's just like, yeah, you listen to it. And of course, you know, I could have done a thing where I could have spoken about every single thing in Sinners, but then I also was like, no. I also don't want to do that. Because it's better for me to just talk about my own thoughts. Because I wouldn't even necessarily say I'm much of a breakdowny, what's it called, commentator. I'm not really a breakdowny commentator. I'm literally just a yapper. That's what you guys should know. I'm literally just a yapper, and that's what I do. So that's why, you know, that's why it goes on like this, and it follows no structure. It follows no structure at all. I know that I think I wanted to talk about the characters, but I will a tiny bit now, just a little bit. You know what's funny is that Mary was obviously like, oh, if you don't get death out of my face, we were like, oh yeah, that's why you shouldn't be here. Like, you know what I mean? So we were like, why did you have to say that to Sammy? You seem that you don't really like the twins. You know what I mean? Or you seem to, anyways. But you're obviously in love with Stack, and we're like, yeah. If you didn't know them, you probably would have been all right. Like, you wouldn't have even been inside the juke joint. All these type of things. Like, dearie me. Yeah, you wouldn't have been there. Nothing would have happened to you. You would have been great. You would have been fine. So, it's crazy. It's literally crazy. And then also Grace, people were talking about Grace and how, of course, what was it? She was getting all upset because she was worried about her daughter, which was valid. It was completely valid. It was actually fine. And so she was worried about her daughter, and then she asked them to come in, and we were like, oh. I think these people were saying, like, obviously they would have just thrown Grace out early. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I would have said the same. I do think like her, yeah, she's the one that like called them in. Even though them coming in, I do think, anyways, we're like, we can't just say, oh yeah, blame Grace. But like, they would have came in anyway. Like literally, they would have came in anyway, and the way that it unfolded, it would have unfolded that way also. And of course, obviously, back to the clan thing, anyways. You guys weren't going to live, anywho. But like, it was not going to be a thing like that. But it's just still like, yeah, I just don't know. Like, obviously, she got really upset. That's what it was. And I just mean, they were baiting her. And that's what vampires do. That's what they do. They're literally evil. Like, they do that. They tell you lies. Or they tell you things that you want to hear, right? They tell you things that they want to hear, and that's how they get you. Right? That's how they get you. And then Grace, right, what we mean with Grace was got. She was got. And then of course everyone's talking about the fact that Grace then did that, and then now her daughter would have nobody, and then yeah. Crazy. And then who else? Interesting. Who else? Oh, Pearline, but she was married. And I was like, she only wanted to give Sammy a chance after he was up there singing When I Lied to You. I guess this is what I'm saying. That's why we're saying music is like a spell. And I was talking about sirens, I think. Yeah, I was talking about sirens. Like, you know, like in Pirates of the Caribbean, I was talking about sirens and the fact that, right, music is used as the way to like draw people to you, like a beacon, basically. So then it's like he sang that song, and then Pearline was like, okay, this guy here, he's like, maybe we can give him a shot. We were like, you're actually a married woman, like, just so you know. But then it's just what I mean, we get it, because it's like she heard him sing and she was like, okay. She was like, okay, I might as well give him a chance. And then obviously Delta Slim, right? He was not just a drunk, literally. So they wanted to say. They just wanted to keep calling him a drunk. But the guy, the guy was good, though. He was good. And I swear his bit in the film, like, he ended up practically being a martyr. we love martyrs. Do you know what I mean? People who are like, no, you go. And we're like, wow, that's so real. That's so real. Like, that wouldn't be me though, but like, yes, martyrs are great and you need them. You actually need them. I meant in a team, in a lineup, you always need a martyr. Otherwise it's not gonna work. And then who else? Cornbread. Yeah, Cornbread. And then also, okay, Cornbread, we already know the vibes. I mean, he was just a money grabber, innit? He was just like, that wouldn't be very nice now, would it, Miss Annie? He said, whatever. You shut up. You shut up. But no, like, and then I think obviously I was going to move on to how, Smoke and Stack, we could tell their dynamics. One is more, I don't know, what do we say? One's more melancholic, more stern, and the other one is more goofy, more silly. That's a good way for it to be, anyways. It's giving obviously good cop, bad cop. Yeah, it's giving that. That's what that is. It's good cop, bad cop, and that's exactly what they did, basically. Even though no. Because they were pretty much the same. Like, especially when obviously Smoke shot those lot who were touching his van. We were like, no, they're pretty much the same. Aren't they? They're pretty much the same, just in different ways. So yeah. And I guess, that's what they do, like, sometimes say about twins. Twins are on the same kind of scale and they think the same, right? I guess it's why, Stack's main thing was that I can't do this without you, because, your twin is your other half. And obviously, yeah, you can't go on without your twin. Basically, it was like you guys were in the womb together. You know what I mean? You were buddies, so you both need to, like, you want to be in the world together. But anyways, this is the end now. So thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. You can subscribe on YouTube for more episodes, and also Spotify, which is Shan Subs podcast. And that's where you'll find me. Thank you. Bye.